It's the Sittin Sportside Podcast.
Can't wait.
With Cody Marshall.
Did you just get here? Can you give him your notes?
And Eric Hanman.
I have dedicated my life to this team, okay?
Exclusively on 1045theteam.com.
And welcome into the podcast on 1045theteam.com. I'm Eric Hanman, joined today by the man who knows what he's talking about when it comes to tennis and hockey, but nothing else. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully knows what he's talking about in Major League Baseball, because we're talking MLB All Star selections, and I'm really excited for this one because we really kind of have we've kind of beat around the bush when it comes to baseball. We haven't really had a true baseball podcast, in my personal opinion, in a long time, and we touched on it. But with the NHL done for the most, we got the off-season podcast with that. The expansion draft, our thoughts on the expansion draft, and for the Vegas Golden Knights, that's up on 1045theteam.com and youtube.com/team1045. And then the NBA podcasts, they're dwindling down too with the draft podcast. I'm going to do one with Drew Zlogar coming up. We finally get to dive into the midsummer and the dog days.
Midsummer Classic, the only time these guys get 3 days off in a row, we get to see the best event in any professional sport.
What is that?
The All-Stars and Celebrity Softball game.
And without fail, Raleigh Fingers and Ozzie Smith.
Jenny Finch is going to windmill the first pitch, and then she'll lob the rest of them. And
my favorite performance from that, though, was Vlad Guerrero a couple of years ago, man. I think the game was in L.A. Dude looked like he could still play. And speaking of Vlad Guerrero, his son, Vlad Guerrero Jr., keep your eyes all wide open for that 19-year-old phenom. Kid can really hit in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, unfortunately, in the Toronto Blue Jays organization.
This is coming from a Yankees fan. So
I would have loved to see a Vlad in the lineup, man. Like, Vlad needs to come back so he can be in the lineup with his son. Like, that would be sick. Absolutely insane. He's up for the Hall of Fame next year. Anything? No.
Do you think he's getting in? First vote?
First ballot, I would love to see, but maybe have to go second.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a nice group of guys to choose from next year.
Right.
With some of the guys who we've talked about over the years who have been close but didn't quite get there.
Bagwell kind of had that this year, so we'll see. Pudge got in first ballot, so we'll see.
Yeah, certainly this year's guys is a good class.
Oh, another podcast. So let's get into this one. You want to start off with the catcher? You want to go from catcher all the way up to designated hitter?
Yeah, you want to start American or national?
Do we want to do? So you want to go per league? See, this is not much planning.
I was going to do both. I was figured we just go catcher.
Catcher for both.
Yeah,
and we'll start alphabetical AL to.
All right. Then cool. AL's a better league, anyways, right?
It's got more. I don't know if it depends on who you ask. I think if you ask some people who like the NL, they'd prefer if the NL or the AL had no designated hitter. If you ask people in the AL, they prefer, might as well, Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. We're talking about nice ideas for other podcasts. But this podcast is about the MLB All Star game and our selections for the MLB All Star game. Go, Cody.
All Star game going to be in Miami at Marlins Stadium this year. And my first pick for catchers from the Kansas City Royals going to be Salvador Perez. And on the other side for the National League is going to be San Francisco Giants, it's Buster Posey.
It's a no-brainer. That's exactly what I was going with. Just an honorable mention, I guess, to JT Realmuto and Matt Wieters, and then, of course, maybe Yachty as well.
Yachty or Molina was probably going to be my second choice, because I think some of these positions, when you don't really have a guy who's producing, or you don't have a lot of guys to choose from, you kind of go by reputation. Yachty Molina has certainly been a great defensive catcher for St. Louis for so many years, and a respectable guy that I think that sometimes he's going to win some of the votes just on that alone.
Buster, man. Buster's having a heck of a year, isn't he?
He is.
You can't. He only has 9 home runs. Now I say only, but you can't overlook how great of a season he's having, batting .354 with an on base of .439. So you talk about, I said Realmuto. You mentioned Yachty and Matt Wieters as well. It's just hard. You can't.
And he's on one of the worst teams in the NL right now.
That's true.
Which is a surprise.
That's
but
true.
That's the situation going on in San Francisco.
In the American League, we're your home for New York sports, so I'm definitely going to put Gary Sanchez out there. If he didn't have that bicep tear right now, suffering from a groin injury, hopefully that doesn't linger too long. But I think I would be a little more comfortable saying Sanchez if he was up a little bit more. It doesn't even qualify for the batting because he hasn't even gotten 1/3 of his team's at-bats per game, which is what you need to be qualified for the batting title. But he's having a pretty good run here. I think he could push. because of that injury, I'm not sure I could give it to him. I think Salvi's just been there. But once again, not on the greatest of teams. But I'm right there with you. I go Buster and Salvi for the catchers.
And then you move on to first base. Here we go. Here's something that might that probably will shock some people. In my starting lineup, going through, it's a nice mix, both sides, American League, National League.
And by the way, Buster leads the Major League Baseball in average, by the way.
I don't
just leave
have
that there. Sorry.
A Boston Red Sox in the starting 9. Does that surprise you? I feel like that's kind of surprising. They're only a game out in the AL East. They've got there's only 9. The killer bees.
You just mentioned it. I mean, you mentioned that this was probably off air, but you mentioned how good of the Astros season they're having. It's gonna be tough
you could start the whole team.
You
way they're doing.
The Cubs last year had a pretty good monopoly on that starting roster. So once you get multiple players from teams, you're losing representation in starting lineups from other teams. Obviously, every team is represented.
See, that makes me feel a lot better because at first base from the Baltimore Orioles, I've got Chris Davis, who tends to designated hit for the Orioles.
You do?
Yeah.
As an all-star.
Yeah, because you look at the first baseman right now, it's certainly you got guys who are well known. Jose Abreu from the White Sox, I thought he might end up getting it. 11 home runs, 41 RBIs, hitting 294. Chris Davis hitting 226, which isn't very impressive, but he's got 14 home runs, 26 RBIs. He's just a guy who's produced for the Orioles so far this season and gotten the job done. And you look at some of these other guys. I mean, Joe Mauer for the Twins. I love Joe. I really do. But he hasn't really done anything to stick out. There's really no one else, in my opinion, that sticks out. I mean, you got Mike Napoli.
I have a pick that you have not mentioned. Now, you didn't mention...
Oh, I forgot Miguel Cabrera.
You didn't mention Miggy.
Oh, wow.
You didn't mention Miggy, but you also did not mention my pick, though. My pick, my vote.
Don't tell me Greg Bird batting 100, 1 home run, 3 RBIs.
No, did you mention Justin Smoke? Did you mention Blue Jays first baseman Justin Smoke, who's having a resurgent year at the age of, I believe, 32? He's up there in age, but he was a young prospect in the Texas Rangers system. Similarly to Chris Davis, who left to go to Seattle. Seattle was hoping to get a jump from him and get the next Chris Davis, right? Because remember, Chris Davis was on Texas. He goes to Baltimore, has a resurgence, and they're like, well, this is another first baseman on the Texas Rangers who hasn't done anything there. Let's get him. Seattle doesn't do anything with him. Goes to Toronto. Toronto loses Emilio Encarnacion, and all of a sudden, the dude is just mashing up there. 19 home runs. He's hitting 290. He's doing have a great season. He's my vote, unfortunately, because he's also in the AL East. But
this is under further review because I just realized my first base choice I think I got wrong. When I actually voted, I don't think I voted for Chris Davis, so I'm going to change this one. Same division, and I think we're overlooking him as well. Logan Morrison with the Tampa Bay Rays. Logan Morrison is hitting 240, 19 home runs, same amount as Smoke, 44 RBIs.
But look at the difference in
batting average. Is certainly
although the OBP is very similar.
But he's the reason that the Tampa Bay Rays right now, number one, got off to a pretty decent start considering they're probably the worst team in that division. I mean, Toronto maybe, but Toronto started to heat up, and I think they can make a run at this.
That whole division is playing well right now. So, yeah, I'm going to go Smoke. Your pick is Logan Morrison or Chris Davis?
Logan Morrison.
Okay, so
I'm going to go with him.
We're giving some love to the no-names, if you will.
Yeah, you got it. I think the best thing about this All-Star game being open to the fans is, number one, it gives you the opportunity to vote for your favorite team, but not only that is you look at them, MLB.com does a good job allowing you to compare them side by side. Give it to the guy who's producing, not necessarily the guy who's on the winning team, because you look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout's been on the Los Angeles Angels when they've been good, when they've been bad, and no matter how quiet he seems to be doing things, he's still always towards the top. And certainly deserving of an All-Star selection.
We'll get to Trouty in a minute, because that's going to be an interesting discussion of whether we give him an All-Star or not, just based on this season. He was off to a really good start. But let's talk about the NL first baseman. These are going to be names you do know a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think that this one we're more likely to agree on.
It's
hitting 322, 15 home runs, 55 RBIs. I'm going Paul Goldschmidt of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, man. I really wanted to give it to Zim because Zim's having a heck of a year.
Yeah,
Invader Zim, but that guy over there in Arizona doesn't get enough love, and they're having a resurgent year as well. Maybe getting overlooked because of how good the Rockies have been this season. The Arizona Diamondbacks are right there as well, and Paul Goldschmidt, like you just said, the on base percentage, man, and I got to give a shout out to Joey Votto on this one too. It's just awesome, and that's why I love Aaron Judge right now, is because he's not only because of the home runs. dude gets on base, and now he's running actually pretty well too. And what Paul Goldschmidt does is he runs well. 13 stolen bases as well. We could see a 30-30 year from Paul Goldschmidt.
Do we think Goldschmidt's hurt by playing on the West Coast?
Possibly. I think I mentioned on this podcast before, and this is my best rant in the history of WVOF when I was over at Fairfield University, because it was when 2013 Paul Goldschmidt did not win MVP, Andrew McCutcheon did, and my favorite rant from over there, and I always mention this, the guy does not get enough love, and maybe it is because he plays on the West Coast for a team that people don't really care about. You think about the San Francisco Giants and Los Angeles Dodgers, people are going to care about those teams.
Yeah, it's a big market. Both of those are big markets, and I'm not saying that,
right.
Well, it's supposed to be Phoenix, but they're actually in Glendale.
They are in Glendale, I believe.
I think that takes a hit on them as well. And the Diamondbacks have done it kind of quietly as well. I mean, they don't have an overwhelming pitching staff. They've got a lot of good guys in Goldschmidt, Jake Lamb over at third base.
Jake Lamb, man. He could be the best hitting third baseman right now.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is you're looking at, we've talked about how we think Nolan Arenado is going to move places in the future. Jake Lamb could very well do the same because of this market with these NL West teams.
That's true. And then, not to get off on a tangent about the Arizona Diamondbacks, but you have A.J. Pollock, who's been injured. Yeah. I mean, and he's been fine. He was good when he was healthy, but he's been out. I want to give, we mentioned Ryan Zimmerman. I mean, he's having a heck of a first half.
Is.
19 home runs.
I never thought we'd see Ryan Zimmerman.
What about Mark Reynolds? He's also had a resurgence too in his short time, not short time, but his opportunity with the Rockies because of Ian Desmond's injury, and he's taking full advantage of it. They need to find playing time for him because he's hitting .301, 17 home runs, and 55 RBIs. I mean, the guy has done the same similar thing that Zimmerman has done.
And I think it's harder for Zimmerman because you've got Bryce Harper on that team getting all the attention because of what he's done, and it's not because he certainly doesn't deserve it, but Ryan Zimmerman, you're talking about a resurgent year. That might even be an understatement.
Yeah, so for me,
I thought he was going to retire in the near future.
So we're both on Goldie here, but for me, it's a very small margin over the likes of Zimmerman, Votto, and then even maybe a little Reynolds, but definitely Goldschmidt.
Second baseman, I think that at least we'll agree in the American League, maybe even the National League. I'm going Houston Astros second baseman Jose Altuve.
You gotta do this to me.
327, 10 home runs, 34 RBIs, 12 stolen bases. This guy is...
You know this is gonna be tough for me though.
Why?
Because his competition is near and dear to my heart right now.
Don't tell me you're going out west for this one.
Out west? No.
All right.
Starlin Castro, man. I got to give him some love. He has more hits than him, 88 to 85. Starlin Castro wins there. Home runs, 12 to 10. Stolen bases, definitely got to give it to Altuve. But average, they're right there together. On base is a little bit better for Altuve, but RBI-wise, Starlin's got him. I mean, Altuve, I love Altuve. Altuve is the best second baseman. If you told me to pick a second baseman in the American League to have on my team, like if I'm picking in a schoolyard, it's Altuve. But I think out of the numbers I'm seeing right now, and we still have a month until the games, my vote is Starlin Castro. So we didn't agree, but I might have a Yankee heart, and I might be bleeding pinstripes in Yankee blue right now. But I'm gonna go Starlin Castro because I think numbers wise, they're very similar with the exception of stolen bases. Castro has them in all of them.
But we're looking at guys, when you define an all-star, you're talking about these guys who represent the five-tool player, the speed, the defensive ability.
Look at numbers, man.
Right, but numbers don't lie. And I'm the first guy who will tell you that, but how do you judge defense? And I mean, you and I, we know that they talk about defensive run saves and all this, but we don't go deep into the sabermetric stuff because some of it's just a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
It's just guys who want to sit behind a computer and figure out, okay, who in the digital age looks like they'd be the best fit where. And
right.
I think Jose Altuve, what he's done, and given his stature, he's only 5'9". Am I right?
5'9"? You're going to give him 3 inches?
Okay, so he is 5'6".
Yeah.
All right, 5'6", and he continues to produce. He's the definition of that five-tool player right there at second base. Over on the other side, Mets fans are probably going to hate me, but hey, you guys let him go. Daniel Murphy for the Washington Nationals, who so far this season...
Yeah, I think he's going to run away with this one. I mean, I don't know where the photos are looking at, but if we're talking our pick, I think this is a no-brainer.
346, 11 home runs, 46 RBIs on the Washington National teams. That's pretty much about a week or so away from clinching the NL East.
Just like the Astros are pretty close to clinching the NL or AL West.
Those divisions are so rough right now.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. There really isn't someone that's really that close to any of his, like, he's way above an average. He's way above in home runs, in RBIs. There's really no one that's even that close, really. DJ LeMahieu, maybe an honorable mention.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is he was your batting champion last year for the Colorado Rockies, was LeMahieu, and he's off to a little bit of a slow start.
Don't get Daniel Murphy started. They got a little bit of a beef, though. I don't know if they really do, but we know what happened.
Yeah,
but that wasn't it. That was Walt Weiss. Okay, let's move on.
But, I mean, Brandon Phillips is hitting over 300 right now. There's some good names at the second base position, but it's a production that we're not seeing from these guys in order to give them the vote.
And it's good on Phillips because he knows they have Ozzie Albies waiting in the wing, to take his place. But yeah, it's no doubt. It's Daniel Murphy. We shouldn't even be talking about it anymore because we got to move on.
Shortstop? Going with Altuve's teammate in the American League, I'm going Carlos Correa so far, who's hitting 302, 12 home runs, 42 RBIs. I mean, I said you could take the entire Houston Astros starting lineup and probably plug them into this All-Star game, and you would have a pretty formidable team that represents the American League well. I mean, everybody's producing. For catcher, you could have put Brian McCann if you really wanted to, because he has taken advantage of the Yankees letting him go and pretty much led this Astros team when they needed him to set up.
I mean, they give some to Gaddis as well, and they have, I believe, another catcher that they might use some at times too. But they've done a good job of platooning, and give credit out there to AJ Hinch, doing a good job with that lineup as well. But I'm hard pressed, or I don't know. I have to agree with you. I give my vote to Carlos Correa. But Frankie Lindor, the average isn't up. But I think his spark, that's the respect. I got to give him an honorable mention too, because he's still got the power numbers, more home runs than Correa, but less RBIs. Maybe had to do with where he hits in the order. He does hit third.
Well, and the Indians have gotten off to a slow start as well. They've just taken over first place in the AL Central at the expense of Minnesota. But
when you hit in front of Edwin Encarnacion and Brantley, I think you're not going to get as many RBI chances. But yeah, Correa definitely great year for him so far, and it could be his coming out and start dipping into his prime.
National League side, I think this is the one category you look at to try and pick from, and you could probably make the argument for a lot of guys and not be wrong because, number one, there's no one really separating themselves from anybody, and number two, when that situation happens, the numbers are so close it pretty much is just a toss-up. I'm going with Los Angeles Dodgers shortstop Corey Seager, who right now is hitting 282, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs. Let's see if I've got a name in my head for who I think you're going with. Let's see if I'm right.
I'm going to have to give it... The problem here is the numbers are too close, and I got to go with Zach Cozart because, I like giving it. Is that the guy you were thinking?
No, I thought for sure you were going to go Trey Turner.
Dude, Trey's my boy.
I thought Trey Turner. My second guy I wanted to. I love the guy. I wanted to go Trevor Story, but he's known so far for what he's done defensively this year compared to what he did when he got off the hot start for the Rockies last year offensively.
Oh man, he's having a brutal year. He's been injured as well, but dude, Trey, he's the man. But I don't know. I don't know if I could with a healthy conscience. With that average, when you have a guy hitting 320, who doesn't get enough recognition because he plays for Cincinnati, and the home runs are equal with Seager, RBIs equal with Seager. Turner does have the stolen bases on all these guys. I mean, the dude, I think will get up to 60 this year. Might have to pick up the pace a little bit, but I think we'll get to 60 this year. But yeah, I got to give it to Cozart. I got to give it to Cozart.
Moving on to the third baseman, the hot corner. This is the one ray of sunshine on a cloudy day for me. I'm going with my Minnesota Twins, Miguel Sano. Sano so far this season hitting 291, 16 home runs, 48 RBIs, and everybody was talking about, they've got a lot of prospects coming up, Byron Buxton, Miguel Sano, and Miguel's the one who's lived up to the hype so far.
Yeah, dude, I gotta agree with you on this one. Sano's just been very good for that team, who's still clinging to first place, right?
No, we're in second by a game now.
Never mind. Now I might have changed my pick to the first place Indians. Jose Ramirez? Are they in for, is that the team that's in first?
Well, yeah, I'm
kidding. I'll stick with Sano, man. The power numbers are there. The on base is insanely good. Dude strikes out phenomenally, but
Sano this is.
But I got to give it that shout out to Jose Ramirez, but definitely Miguel Sano, man. He's just been driving in runs. He's been the heart, literally the heart of that order.
Yeah, and you got a lot of guys to choose from. Manny Machado, who hasn't had a great season so far. No, but I'm saying, like, you got some names there. Manny Machado, Mike Moustakas is having a pretty decent year, especially now with the Royals playing much better baseball than they were. National League side, I'm going with Nolan Arenado out of the Colorado Rockies. Now, there's some guys that you could really look at and pick other than Arenado, but right now he comes in 290, 14 home runs, 51 RBIs. Cubs fans probably won't like it because Chris Bryant's right there. They're very close as far as home runs.
Yeah, KB's having a down year average-wise. He's not hitting the ball as well, and then he's got the home run still, yeah.
And there's the guy we talked about earlier.
I'm going with him.
You're going with the guy I'm about to say?
Yeah.
Jake Lamb out of the Arizona Diamondbacks, hitting 283, 16 home runs, 59 RBIs. This is the guy who you pretty much put him and Paul Goldschmidt in that order. It becomes dangerous, and you can't really pitch a round one to get to the other, so they certainly help each other out. But he's done a heck of a job at the hot corner for this Arizona team that has turned the corner and become competitive in the NL West, and certainly look like they're going to be contenders all season long.
Yeah, for sure, man. I gotta go. I mean, he's having a heck of a year. He continues to hit the ball out of the park on a consistent basis. So, RBI wise, man, 59. I believe that leads the. I don't want to. Let me double check that real quick. It leads the MLB. I knew it. I should just set it off the top.
I was gonna say that number's too high to because John Sterling, I think, was going through it the other day, or maybe it was team runs scored, and they had quite a few.
So, yeah, give me Jake Lamb, man. Too good to pass up. Outfield, the way it works is you get 3 outfield, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You don't vote a left fielder or a center fielder or right fielder. You just vote 3 outfielders no matter where they are. And then if they're picked, they play. They figure out a way in the lineup to get them in. You want to go with your outfielders first? I think we're going to be pretty close in the American League.
You can go first.
All right.
I'll give you that honor.
I should probably stand up for this, right? You know,
Maybe.
All rise. Here comes the judge.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Judge out of the New York Yankees is my first outfielder. George Springer for the Houston Astros is my second. And, of course, whether he's going to be injured or not, if he can play in it or not, I'm going Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels. These guys have just produced from the start of the season, haven't let up at all. We've talked about how big of an impact Aaron Judge has made so far this season. He's hitting .335, 23 home runs, 52 RBIs. I mean, right now he just seems like the guy who is going to run away with some of this. He was leading, I believe, the Triple Crown categories at one point, if not still leading them.
Yeah.
This season. Trout right now, despite being injured, hitting .337, 16 home runs, 36 RBIs. And then George Springer for Houston, .278, 18 home runs, 43 RBIs. This game alone, I mean, there's so much power in this American League outfield that if it were to come true, I myself as a pitcher wouldn't want to pitch to any one of these guys.
Oh no, definitely not. And I think we're gonna agree that those are your 3 right there: Judge, Trout, and Springer. Have a hard time arguing with that.
I think the only thing that hurts Trout is being hurt.
Yeah, it does.
And I think that he would still win the vote, but obviously not playing the game if he can't get healthy in time.
Avisail Garcia, I think, deserves some attention. He leads the American League in batting right now, batting .337. His home runs don't necessarily match the Judges and the Springers, only 10, but he has 48 RBIs still. So I think you got to give him some hype. So maybe he'd be my replacement for Trout. That's why I got to go with possibly Garcia, but I'm going to stick with those 3 that you said as well. Springer, Judge, Trout.
And these guys, it's so hard to not grade them defensively because there are some outfielders who will run through a brick wall to make a play and protect their pitchers, and that's where I look at it. And, you know, Kevin Pillar isn't exciting with his bat, but he certainly makes all these great plays that I think gets him in the conversation.
That's true.
National League side, I'm going Giancarlo Stanton of the Miami Marlins, Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals, and Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies, who has now led this team after getting off to a hot start despite being teammates with guys like Nolan Arenado.
What would you say, Blackmon?
Stanton, Harper, and Blackmon.
Let's see, I got to look into this, man. Cody Bellinger's having a pretty darn good year.
See, it's so hard for me to give a guy who came in middle of the season for as short as it is from April to July.
I got to go with Blackmon. I'm definitely going Blackmon. I think I got to go Harper as well. I think I'd give it to Osuna over Stanton if we're talking Miami. But I do like Bellinger. But I'm gonna agree with you with Blackmon and Harper, and I'm gonna disagree with you, and I'm gonna go Osuna. I'm gonna go Marcell Ozuna from my Miami team. I think Matt Kemp also deserves some credit. The power numbers are down though. He was injured for a little bit, but and then also shout out to New York Met, Michael Conforto. I think he's had a heck of a first half. I think it'd give him some attention as well. And
then designated hitter. This might surprise you a little bit, but I'm staying with the hometown team. I'm giving it to New York Yankees Matt Holliday because he has really come on.
And he's definitely a DH.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these guys, I'm looking at Corey Dickerson. Is he always a DH? I think he plays outfield sometimes.
I believe so.
I mean, I know Holliday gets an occasional start at first base, but
this is the guy who all of a sudden I think the Yankees expected him to come in and maybe, hit a couple doubles, whatnot, drive guys in every now and then. I don't think they expected him to have the season that he's had so far. It
helps when Aaron Judge is doing what
exactly,
he's doing.
And this is why the Yankees are surprising everybody with the start they've gotten off to, because you cannot just focus on one guy.
The dude is allergic to the terrible play the Yankees are doing right now, so he was out yesterday due to an allergic reaction to that.
Well, you lost 5 straight, and I'm not saying this is the end for the Yankees, and they've got to be careful, but they certainly need to turn around. I didn't realize until I looked at the other day, Tanaka's 5-7.
Yeah.
So
not very good. I'm going to give it to Nelson Cruz, though. Leads the American League in RBIs, tied with Judge, I believe. 14 home runs, still batting .294. I love that Holiday pick, but I think I got to give it to Nelson Cruz. Great podcast today, Cody. We have had the other podcast about the NHL expansion draft with the Vegas Golden Knights, and we're going to have a podcast coming up soon about the NBA draft preview. But for Cody Marshall, this was one on American and National League All-Star selections. It's been a fantastic podcast, I believe, if I do say so myself. So like I said, for Cody Marshall, I'm Eric Hammond, right here on 1045theteam.com. Thanks for listening to the Sittin Sportside podcast.